Upbeat, slightly dramatic orchestral music begins, then fades to a gentle, thoughtful underscore. Hello and welcome. Today, we're journeying through time to explore one of Spain's most breathtaking architectural wonders, the Cathedral of St. Mary of Burgos. This isn't just any cathedral, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site in its own right, a living storybook of stone that has been continuously written and rewritten for nearly 1,000 years. Its history isn't about a single, static building, but a dynamic evolution of faith, ambition, and artistic genius. So, join me as we trace its remarkable journey, from a modest Romanesque church to the grand, embellished Gothic masterpiece we see today. Our story begins in the 11th century, long before the famous Gothic spires pierced the sky. Back then, a much smaller Romanesque church stood here. In 1075, King Alfonso VI and Pope Gregory VII officially established Burgos as a bishopric, a major step for the city. The first cathedral, dedicated to the Virgin Mary, was completed just over 20 years later, in 1096. But this initial church quickly became a victim of its own success. Burgos was booming. It was the symbolic capital of the kingdom. Its bishopric was powerful and influential, and it was a bustling hub of commerce. The modest Romanesque building just couldn't keep up. So, in the 13th century, a monumental decision was made. The old church would be torn down to make way for a grander, more ambitious vision. This marked the end of the Cathedral Itica's first chapter and set the stage for the Gothic dream that would define its identity forever. The year is 1221. A new era dawns for Burgos. On June 20th, a historic ceremony takes place. King Ferdinand III of Castile and the influential Bishop Maurice lay the first stone of a new cathedral. This wasn't just a local project, it was a royal and ecclesiastical statement, launching one of the most ambitious construction projects of the age. The design was heavily inspired by the magnificent French Gothic cathedrals like Paris and Reims. An anonymous French architect began the work, followed by Master Enrique, a genius who also left his mark on the Cathedral of Leon. The pace of construction was astonishing. By 1230, just 9 years after they started, services were already being held inside. By 1238, the main body of the cathedral, the front, the transept, and the naves, was nearly finished. The core of this immense structure was formally consecrated in 1260. Over the next 100 years, the side chapels and a new cloister were added. The foundation was set, but the story of its embellishment was just beginning. Now we enter an age of unparalleled splendor, from the 15th to the 18th centuries. This is when the cathedral gained the iconic silhouette we recognize today. The first game-changing addition came between 1442 and 1458. The Colonia family of architects, led by Juan de Colonia, added the magnificent lace-like open spires to the main towers. These spires are the defining feature of the flamboyant Gothic style and fundamentally shaped the cathedral's profile against the sky. The Colonia family wasn't done yet. They also built the lavish Chapel of the Constables, another masterpiece of art and architecture that solidified their incredible legacy. But drama was on the horizon. The original dome over the central crossing, also built by Juan de Colonia, collapsed after a hurricane. A century later, architects Juan de Vallejo and Felipe Vigarni took on the challenge. They created the stunning, richly decorated octagonal dome that remains a breathtaking highlight of the interior. The final major works came in the 18th century, adding a touch of Baroque drama. The magnificent, swirling, Churrigueresque chapel of St. Thecla was finished in 1734, and the main facade's original Gothic portals were modified, blending new styles into the medieval masterpiece. As the grand era of construction drew to a close, the mission shifted from building to preserving. The 19th and 20th centuries were all about safeguarding this immense heritage for the future. Luckily, Burgos Cathedral was spared the kind of aggressive restorations that damaged many other historic buildings. This lack of intervention was a blessing. as it preserved the priceless original artwork that might have otherwise been altered or lost. There were, however, necessary projects. Between 1899 and 1911, architect Vicente Lamperes y Romea undertook a major restoration of the cloister. He carefully removed a later, out-of-place third level and reopened the original Gothic windows that had been sealed, returning it to its intended form. Another brilliant move was the removal of adjacent buildings, like the Archbishop's Palace, which had been blocking the view. For the first time in centuries, people could fully appreciate the cathedral's grandeur. More recently, conservation work remains crucial. In 1994, a statue of St. Lawrence fell from a tower, a shocking reminder of the constant need for preservation. This prompted new efforts like replacing the old roof with a modern light steel frame to protect the treasures within. So, what have we seen? The Cathedral of St. Mary of Burgos is so much more than a static monument. It's a dynamic masterpiece, a living document of nearly 1,000 years of history. It bears the creative fingerprints of countless generations of architects, artists, and artisans. From its humble Romanesque roots, it grew into a soaring Gothic marvel, later adorned with Renaissance and Baroque flourishes. It stands today as a testament to centuries of faith, incredible artistry, and the enduring human drive to create something truly timeless and beautiful. It's a story of evolution, survival, and endless inspiration, written in stone. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through the history of Burgos Cathedral. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure. See you next time.